What's up, everybody? So I'm trying something new. Normally, we do the SoundCloud recordings, but kind of run out of space on my SoundCloud. So there's the UFC card on tonight. There's a boxing match on tonight on HBO. So I just wanted to touch up on some of these fights, which ones I think are interesting, kind of my pick'ems, what to expect on some of these. I'm not going to talk about each fight on the card just because I don't have time for all that. Y'all don't want to sit here and listen to me talk that much. But 10 years with UFC now. Combat sports fan. I got this shirt. It's one of my first shirts, so I thought first time doing a live feed be a nice little homage to the roots that I came from. But so UFC on Fox 27, live on Fox Sports 1 right now. I got my TV muted so I don't get any copyright shit about that. Just want to touch up on a few of these Fox Sports 1 cards if you do want to tune in and watch. Bobby Green and Eric Koch, I'll start from the top down. That should be a pretty good fight. Bobby Green hasn't won a fight, and let me look. I want to say it's like 3 years. I know he hasn't won a single one of his last 4 fights. Came close against Lando Venata, got a draw. Yeah, he hasn't won a fight since July of 2014, so almost 4 years. That's never a good sign. Lost to Edson Barboza, Dustin Poirier, Rashid Magomedov, and then had that draw with Lando Venata. He likes to incorporate that shoulder roll, but he kind of taunts with it more than I've actually seen him use it practically as of late. Got clipped by Dustin Poirier trying to do that, knocked out. Against Lando Venata, he finally kind of started throwing back at him and was making some headway. So Eric Koch, his opponent, I forgot Eric Koch was even still with the UFC, to be honest. Scrolling down, looking at his page, I don't think he's won a fight in a while either. Yeah, well, no, he won in May, so it's been a little less than 2 years since he won a fight. His last fight, though, June of last year, got beat up by Clay Guida, kind of a vintage Clay Guida performance. I don't see Bobby Green being able to really push a takedown advantage on Eric Koch, so I don't see this turning into much of a wrestling match. Maybe something against the clinch, just as Green tries to break him down, but I see it being more of a striking match, and whoever really puts it together better winning, as far as like who can flow from stage of the fight to stage of the fight. Let's get past my page. All right, Mirsad Bektic versus Godfredo Pepe. This is kind of a showcase fight to me for Mirsad Bektic. He lost big against Darren Elkins in his last fight. It's one of those prospect losses. A prospect will come against a real tough, grizzled veteran, and that's Darren Elkins in a nutshell. Bektic was putting everything he possibly had on him. He's taking him down, beating him up on the ground, beating him up on the feet, but Elkins is tough. Bektic maybe wore himself out a little bit and then got caught against the cage, but Pepe... This really does seem like a tune-up fight for me, because Pepe, looking at his record over the past couple years, going back to March of 2015, submitted Andre Fili, lost to Darren Elkins himself, submitted Mike De La Torre, and then lost to Shane Burgos, which, hey, I saw Shane Burgos fight a couple weeks ago. He was a pretty good guy. So, yeah, I don't see this being anything other than a tune-up fight for Bektic, and I'm not trying to knock on Pepe's skills, but I'm just trying to break it down as simple as possible as far as like how I view the fight. The other fights on the card, like the one that's about to come on live right now, Vincent Pichel and Joaquin Silva, don't really know much about them. Justine Kish and Ji Yeon Kim. Seen Kish fight once, and that was when she literally got the shit beat out of her by Felice Herrig. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look it up. It's worth a laugh. Pretty big girl, strong girl, so I don't know how well the more known, smaller Asian fighter will do. Or, Asian fighters are known to be a little bit smaller than the American fighters. And I'm actually not sure Justine Kish is American. Hold on. Nope, she's Russian. Russian-American. Okay, need to do a little bit more of my research beforehand. Yeah, don't really have much to say about that fight. I don't know what either girl's strong suit is. I just know Kish had nothing on the ground for Felice Herrig. Randa Marcos and Juliana Lima. This is kind of like a middle of my career, middle of the road kind of fight. Neither one of them are going to be getting anywhere near a title shot anytime soon, I don't think. I think it's just card filler. And again, I'm not trying to sound rude or bang on these guys any. I'm just trying to tell you which fights I look forward to, which ones I know about that I can say certainly are worth a watch. And out of the Fox Sports 1 prelims, Bobby Green and Mirsad Bektic. Or Bobby Green versus Eric Koch and Mirsad Bektic versus Godfredo Pepe. Those two should be pretty good. As far as like this card overall, I'd give it like a 2, maybe 3 out of 5 stars on the level. Just, I'm trying to be honest. Main card on Fox, 7 o'clock. That's some good tattoo work from Pichel, I guess. Sorry. There's a fight going on in the background, live streaming. Drew Dober and Frank Camacho open up the main card. I remember Frank Camacho specifically because he fought here recently and was just kind of like in a banger sort of fight against Damian Brown. Not a lot of technique, not a lot of layers of skills and defense and such, but it was a fun fight. Drew Dober, I remember one of his fights. He just reminded me of like a younger Rick Story. Knocked out Josh Berkman with a nice like left hand in his. I don't know. Was it his last fight or might have been further back than that? Let me look. Yeah, that was his last fight. Knocked out Josh Berkman. Josh Berkman in this day and age, though, it's kind of hard to take accomplishment of that. But it was a clean knockout, so I'll give him the credit there. I got to side with Dober just because I've seen him as a more proven fighter. Not a knock on Camacho. I just don't know enough about him to really make a safe pick. Maybe he'll surprise me. Maybe he'll be able to shut down some of Dober's wrestling and beat him up on the feet. Who knows? Gillespie and Rinaldi. Again, I don't really know much about these guys. I know Gillespie is the favorite because he's a prospect that everybody's kind of watching out for. One of these young up-and-comers. I want to say he's 10-0. Wrestling background, yeah. NCAA Division I wrestler, 4-time All-American. It's active since 2012. So yeah, he's pretty much an up-and-comer. This is one of those guys that the UFC puts in one of these spots. Is like, hey, show us your shit. Put on a good performance. Don't know much about Jordan Rinaldi. I'll just kind of give him a quick look over. Hey, I'm about as hardcore of a fight fan as it gets, but you don't always have time to watch all the fights. Some of these guys just slip through the cracks, and they end up on 4 UFC cards before you see them somewhere, and you're like, hey, who the fuck is this guy? Okay, so he lost Abel Trujillo and beat Alvaro Herrera. Von Fluchoke. Okay, so what's his submission ability like that? Von Fluchoke's just kind of one of those weird... most of his career wins by submission. So, see exactly what he can do against the strong American wrestler. And now the two fights that I'm really going to spend some time talking about, because I know both of these guys pretty well, or both fighters on the ends of the fight in the co- and main event, should be a couple of good scraps. Should be pretty entertaining. Dennis Bermudez versus Andre Fili, and Ronaldo Souza versus Derek Brunson. First off, with the co-main, Bermudez and Fili. This fight feels to me as if Bermudez can push the wrestling advantage and, get him down, ground and pound a little bit, maybe get to his back and hold on to the rear naked choke position for a little while, even if he doesn't secure it. I haven't seen a lot of that, superior grappling ability from Fili. I know he scored some late takedowns against Artem Lobov, which sealed the deal for him in that fight. But, it feels like that's going to be the area Bermudez really needs to attack, because while Andre Fili himself isn't the spectacular striker on the feet, he's tough, and he can land some shots. He dropped Artem Lobov with a head kick in that last fight. Pretty kind of out of nowhere striker. I don't want to, like I said, I'm not trying to bag on these guys. I'm just trying to give my honest assessment of what their skill sets are. And he seems kind of like the outside guy who likes to bang a little bit. He'll move his feet and then come in and hit you with something, and then try and move around a little bit more. Not a lot of layers of head movement or real super crisp footwork. And Bermudez himself on the feet isn't like, the absolute best. I've seen him lunge in with some left hooks. I've seen him kind of bring that jab back a little bit low. He throws and then doesn't really get out of the way of the punch that he knows is coming back. It's just like, okay, I can take the punch and not go down. But he has shown to be kind of hittable, which when you're getting hit by some of the guys he's getting hit by, like Jeremy Stevens or Chan Sung Jung, it's understandable that you might get dropped. But getting dropped by a jab from Ricardo Lamas, that's the kind of stuff that kind of concerns you. So he is vulnerable on the feet. And I haven't seen any particular, thing from Andre Fili that just makes me think, oh, he's chinny. He's taken some pretty big shots against everybody I've seen him fight, and has gone on to either lose it. Well, he did get hit by that head kick by Yair Rodriguez, so that's the only time I can really remember him getting stopped. But hey, you get hit by a jumping switch kick and don't go down. Props to you. This fight really is make or break for me is if Bermudez can push the wrestling advantage, because the longer he stands on the feet with Andre Fili, he might land some shots, and that might bait him into some exchanges. But Fili's a guy, he really likes to slug it out. He spent most of the fight on the feet with Artem Lobov, where he was like, hey, I can take him down pretty easily. So Fili comes from a good camp, Team Alpha Male, guys. It'll be interesting to see how this fight plays out. I got to go, well, now that I've talked about it a little bit more, the two biggest things for me is I look over my notes on this fight is Bermudez's wrestling advantage, and then his getting hurt a lot in his fights. And one favors Fili, and then the other is favoring Bermudez. I don't know if Fili has like the striking arsenal to be able to really clip Bermudez and hit him often enough and at range enough to stop those takedowns. So fuck it. I'm gonna side with Fili. I got a weird feeling that the chinniness and Bermudez is not really evolving past a certain point is going to catch up with him here. Plus, Fili, he's a young cat, even though he's been fighting for a while. He should, if he can stop the takedowns, he should be able to take Bermudez out. That's the big thing, is if he can't shut down the wrestling advantage, Bermudez is most likely going to, pardon my French, wrestle fuck him to a decision. Main event, Ronaldo Souza versus Derek Brunson. This is a rematch from, it was some point in 2012. Let me look up the exact card just because I'm a know-it-all. I want to not talk out of my ass so much. Yeah, that was back in August of 2012. So somewhere around fights start, Fox Sports 1, they're on right now. Main card will be 7 o'clock. The Fox cards, they always start pretty early, like the Fight Pass prelims were at, what was that? They started at 3, and then FS1 at 4. The FS1 card will be kind of slow paced. It'll run from 4 to 7, and then 7 o'clock it'll pick up on Fox. Main event, like I said, these guys fought almost 5 years ago, and I say almost just because I don't want to be like 4 months, some odd days, shit like that. Brunson was really, really green, just lunged at Jacare, and at that point, Jacare really hadn't shown a whole lot. No problem, man. He hadn't shown too much striking. I mean, he clipped Luke Rockhold with a couple of good shots, but it was more like just a bomber right-hand kind of fighter. As far as like where they are now, Souza's coming off of that loss to Robert Whittaker. Tough loss. Just really was doing well in the first round. Was able to take Whittaker down, control him a little bit, but Whittaker was continuously getting back up, not overextending himself on the feet, and that's one area where if Brunson is going to win this, is definitely going to be on the feet. He's got to keep Souza off of him. He likes to throw those low kicks here and there, Brunson, but that could be dangerous against a guy like Ronaldo Souza, because Souza's such a good wrestler. He's taken down, I want to say, all but one of his UFC opponents. So, really look for Souza to push that wrestling there when facing off with Brunson, because as powerful a guy as Jacare is on the feet, he has been knocked out a couple times in his career. Most recently in his last fight, got dropped pretty hard by Yoel Romero. So it wouldn't be smart for the older guy to stick around on the feet with the younger man and try and kickbox with him, especially when Jacare's main arsenal of strikes is like an occasional jab, an occasional overhand right, and then some kicks here and there. It'd be smart for him to kind of just like bang the right hand and then shoot on Brunson, or clinch up with him and maybe push him against the cage. Brunson, his only clear-cut way to win here, unless he wants to try and take Jacare down and risk playing in the guard, is to hit him with something hard. Throw that left hand that he loves. He's got a nasty left hand, straight left hand. Knocked out Dan Kelly with it. But he can't overextend himself either, because Jacare did knock him out when they first fought. He's got a pretty good punch himself. Like I said, Brunson has shown some kicks, but mostly it's so hard to really talk much about Brunson's skill sets, because while he's a good wrestler, he's just shown quite low fight IQ at times. Like the Robert Whittaker fight where he's like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to bang it out with him. And then ended up gassing out in the first round and getting knocked out cold by Robert Whittaker. So, my pick in this fight, because the liabilities of Brunson's, like, can he compete with Jacare in the grappling? Don't really know if he wants to try that. Can he mix it up with him on the feet? Yeah, he can strike with him on the feet. He's got to be calm and collected about it and avoid the big right hand power. Can he make this a 25-minute fight and kind of chip away at the older guy? I don't know. I've never seen that kind of ability from Derek Brunson. The only time I can clearly remember him going like a hard 15 minutes was like against Chris Lieben back in the day, and he just kind of laid on top of Chris Lieben the whole time. This is really, to me, it's Souza's fight to win or lose. It depends on, it depends really on which version of these guys show up. If Brunson shows up real hesitant like he did against Anderson Silva, he could get taken down and beat up. If Souza shows up kind of shop-worn from having not fought in over a year, coming off the loss to Robert Whittaker, maybe that big left hand landing a couple times is all Brunson will need. But I'm going to side with Souza, second round, TKO or submission. I really don't like to make official picks because then I feel a little bit silly if it doesn't go my way. But so that's my spill on the UFC on Fox card. Got one of the fights I'm watching right now, trying to. So the ones to watch out for: Bektik and Pepe, Green versus Coach. The main card should be pretty entertaining overall. It depends on how the stars align. But real quick, I'll touch up on the boxing match on HBO tonight, which would be Lucas Matisse versus Taiwan Karam. That'll be on at 9:30, I believe, because Bad Left Hook says it'll start around 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which, yeah, it should be 9:30 here. Matisse, he's an older guy now. He's the veteran fighter. 38 wins, 4 losses, 35 of those 38 wins by knockout. Getting his third crack at a world title. He gets Taiwan Karam, a guy who's 38-0 with 28 knockouts, but has never fought outside of Thailand, so we can't really speak to the level of competition that he's been knocking out. Seen a couple of his fights on YouTube. There was some quick knockouts, I think maybe 3 or 4 rounds apiece. Excuse me. Basically what I've seen of him. Strong jab, strong cross. Brings the jab back a little bit low. Might want to work on, popping that punch and then getting out of the way of whatever may be coming back. I didn't see in any of the fights that he had. Sorry, I got a back itch. Where he showed any real strong footwork. It was more like him just kind of stalking the guy he was fighting and one-twoing him and like throwing an occasional left hook and putting him down with the right hand. Matisse, though, I just rewatched his fight versus Lamont Peterson, and oh, what a beautiful left hook. Got inside on Peterson and just smashed him with that left hook. It was just, oh, it was beautiful. I have to side with the more proven Matisse's. It's like, can he go 12 rounds against a world-class fighter? We've seen him do it. Does he have a good chin? We've seen it. There's not a lot I can pull from the 38 fights in Thailand for Karam. I don't want to be like the front runner kind of, or not the front runner. I don't want to be a favorite picker, but it's just there's not enough about Taewon Karam for me to really give an assessment to where I could say he's going to beat Lucas Matisse. Should be a good fight though, win or lose for either guy. So that's going to be 9:30 and will be co-headlined. It's a doubleheader. Jorge Linares is defending the WBC lightweight title against Mercito Gesta, and just from what I've listened to about this fight, not really much to say. Linares won't take a dominant decision or knock him out. I think Harold Letterman picked both Linares and Matisse to win by knockout tonight. I don't know. I think Matisse could stop him. 35 out of 38 wins by knockout is usually a pretty good number to say, hey, I might knock this dude out. But Taewon is the longer guy, bigger guy. I don't see Matisse not being able to figure out a way to work around that with as much fight experience he has against world-class opponents like Danny Garcia, Lamont Peterson, Victor Polsta. Ooh, did he get dropped? Oh, sorry, fight in the background. Anyway, that'll be HBO at 9:30. This card, again, if you're just checking in, Fox Sports 1 for the prelims, Fox for the main card, UFC on Fox, Brunson versus, or Jacare versus Brunson 2. Should be pretty fun. Like I said, only giving it like a 2, maybe 3 stars because there's just not a whole lot of competitive undercard matchmaking for me to boost it up. It's not a whole lot of fights that stand out to me or just like, ooh, I gotta watch that. That's gonna be good. But check with me later. I'm gonna try and do a post-fight breakdown. Kyle McCracken, Copenhagen College Martial Arts Talk, signing off.